Welcome, my friends, to another episode of The Woggers Way. I'm your Uncle Bryan, and today I'm going to be installing this gas tankless water heater by Gasland. Now, just for full disclosure, Gasland did send me this water heater along with all the peripheral items that I need to install it. But I am not being sponsored by them, and they have no say in the content of this video. This video is 100% my opinion and my opinion only, so they do not get any rights to how I edit it or the content that's in it. They just said, hey, will you do a video on this? And they sent it to me. And that's all, pretty much all the conversation we had. But then 6 months from now and a year from now, I'm going to do follow-up videos on how I liked it or didn't like it, if there's been any problems or issues with it, and how it's performed. Now, of course, if it's kind of craps out on me before 6 months, you're going to see a video a lot sooner than that. So, but otherwise, you'll see one 6 months from now and a year from now on how this is performed. Now, if you've watched my videos before, a year and a half ago, I installed a electric tankless water heater. That's this video right over here. Now, that was by Thermomate, and I've been using it for the last 18 months. And if you want to see how that's performed, if you're interested in an electric tankless water heater, I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one. Now, for those of you that are interested in gas, we'll go ahead and we'll hook this up and see how it goes. Now, just to know, Gasland, I've been familiar with Gasland. I've seen them at some trade shows. They're pretty big on outdoor portable, like propane powered water heaters. So like if you want to go camping, they have these little water heaters you can take off. You can just hook up to a propane tank and you can get hot water out wherever you are. They're very big on that. And if you actually search YouTube, you'll see a ton of videos on their portable and outdoor water heaters. But you probably won't see anything on their indoor ones. So I don't know if they're just new to the indoor whole house system, or if just no one's bothered doing a video on it. So, but I'm going to do one today. So we're going to go ahead and get this hooked up. I'm going to show you where it is and what I got. Just to show you what I got from them, I got this whole house tankless gas water heater. This is 199 BTUs. They also sent me a set of these isolation valves, otherwise known as service valves. Never install a tankless water heater without service valves. When we do it, it's not even an option for my customers. It's just included in the price. There's also a little bag of hardware for hanging it. There is a booklet here. It's the user manual. It's probably 99% warnings and regulations and all that, and there's a little bit in here about actually installing it. And then there's, what's this one? Just a congratulations, and they give you some contact numbers if you need to get a hold of them. Then they also sent me this venting kit. Now, since this is a non-condensing unit, it does need to have the steel vent pipes. You can't use PVC, so like if you look at some other videos, you'll see people using PVC. That's for condensing water units, but this is a non-condensing, so it has to have this. It comes, and actually, I was actually surprised on this set here that they sent me. I thought it was going to be really flimsy and cheap. This stuff is very heavy duty. They got 2 straight pieces. You got a 90 elbow. You got the outside vent that goes on the outside. They give you the clamps you need, and then this is the through wall bushing. So I know it comes in 2 pieces, so it goes through the wall from inside to outside, and then this will connect up to it on the outside, and that'll be your vent outside. The only cheap thing I saw about this is these flanges on the bushing here. They're a little flimsy, but they're also not meant to hold anything except just to hold this to the wall. So, and it's pre-drilled out. And I'm gonna put some silicone or some fire block sealant around there before I screw it in, so that'll hold it in well. But I was very surprised on the quality of this venting system. So kudos to you guys. So they sent that, and you can get this all as a set. You can get it with the water heater, the venting system, and the isolation valves all together. You can buy them separately. I'll put links below to all this stuff. But right now, let's go ahead. I'm going to get this thing installed and get it hooked up, and then we can see how to operate it. If you're not replacing an existing gas tankless water heater, I can pretty much guarantee that you'll need to upgrade your gas line to a larger line. And I was no exception. And since I'm installing the tankless on the opposite side of the garage from where my tank type water heater is located, I will need to run a new gas line to the opposite end of the garage. Now here's my situation. Here's my garage, and this is where my current gas tank water heater is located. And here is where I'm installing the gas tankless water heater by Gasland. Now my gas supply pipe is running right along the side of the garage, and this is a 1 1/4 inch gas pipe. Now I'll need to tee off this supply pipe and run an additional pipe across the garage to feed my new Gasland tankless gas water heater. Now the distance, that's about 15 feet. And I'm going to need to run a 1 inch line from the 1 1/4 supply line. Then I'll transition to a 3/4 pipe down the wall to the tankless water heater. Now most likely you have a 1/2 inch gas pipe feeding your existing tank water heater, and while that's fine for a tank that's probably running around 38,000 BTUs, it's way undersized for your new tankless. Like I'm installing, that's 199,000 BTUs. So take a look at these gas lines. The smaller one on the left is what's probably going to your existing gas water heater now. Compare that to the one on the right, which is the one to the tankless water heater. Now if you try using the existing line, you're just going to starve your tankless unit for gas, and then it won't operate properly. So one of the first things you should do before you even purchase a tankless water heater is to do a gas load calculation. Now you can do it yourself, it's not difficult, but it will mean that you'll have to get up into your attic or crawl space where your gas pipes are located and do some measuring. Now if you don't want to do it yourself, or you can't, then get a plumber or whoever does gas line service in your area to perform one for you. And if you're having someone install the tankless water heater for you and they say it's not necessary to size your pipes and load, well, then it's time to find someone else to install it. So here's the pipe I need. I'm going to tee off of. So I'll put a tee in here and it's going to go that way. But before I can do that, I got to move all this junk out of here. All right, so this is what I got. The pipe is going all the way back there. That's where it elbows and goes down to the wall. So we got 10 feet coming to here, ends about right here. So from here over this pipe, that's just under 5 feet, about 4.8 or so. So what we're going to do, we'll sever this pipe. We'll install a T-fitting. This is a 1 1/4, 1 1/4 by 1. And then from here, we will run a section of 1 inch down to there. And actually I put a coupling on there, but I actually take that coupling off because we're threaded here. So we'll thread it in here and then we'll cut it there so we can put a coupling on, a mega press coupling. Now the thing is, when I cut this, I don't know if I'm going to have any play to move this over to put this in. So what I might have to do is I might have to also use a repair coupling. This is a no-stop coupling. So we'll cut this out. We'll cut a section out here. And then this will slide over. This will go in. And we'll put a short piece of the pipe that we cut out of here and here to bridge that. And because this is a no-stop, it can slide and come back and fill in that gap. So we'll show you what that's like. Hopefully, once I cut it, I got some slack in this one. I can move it down enough so I can pull it down and slide it back in so we don't need to do the repair coupling. We can just put the T in. Now to drill a hole where the gas pipe will elbow down towards the tankless water heater. And let's see how good my measurements are. Woohoo! There it is, facing straight down and not turned to either side. Before doing any gas work, shut off the gas supply to the house and then bleed off any pressure out of the lines. This is the line to my old tank water heater, and it's right below where I have to cut into the supply line, so bleeding from here is perfect. Now mark where I'm going to cut to install the T, and my rigid cordless bandsaw makes a nice clean cut with practically no burrs on the pipe. And unfortunately, there was no wiggle room with the pipe, so I did have to cut out a small section to use the repair coupling. making sure to ream and deburr the pipe and wipe everything down for a nice clean fit. Dry fitting everything into place just to make sure I didn't make any boo-boos. After using some of that elementary school math, I calculated how long the filler piece of pipe needed to be. Put the filler pipe in and slide the repair coupling back over the joint, lining it up with my marks to make sure everything is centered. A Milwaukee press tool with some mega press jaws makes working on gas pipes a dream now, instead of having to cut and thread pipes. Thanks to Derek for loaning me his press tool and jaws for this 1¼ inch pipe, since mine only goes up to 1 inch. Thanks, Derek. A few wraps of Teflon tape on the threaded end, along with some Megalock pipe dope, means I can sleep at night knowing that this belt and suspenders approach will give me a nice leak-free connection. And of course, I always clean up my joints to make everything nice and pretty. All right, so there's a hole down there with our elbow in it, coming down. So we need to cut this. This is the one that goes to the T. So first I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a mark on the top, because I don't want it turning, otherwise the elbow down there won't be lined up. So I need to make sure I keep the top as the top. So we need to go 1.5 inches back from this, but actually we need to go more than that. So we're already going 1.5 here. We need to go 1.5 here, plus the half for the stop. So I need to go 2 inches. This is where I need to cut it. In case you didn't catch it, I just made a big Uncle Bryan boo-boo in calculating where I needed to cut. Did you catch it? Now I should have only cut out 1/2 inch for the stop and not the additional 1.5 inches for the coupling also. Now my gap is too big. So since I cut it too much, we'll pull this one down and we'll just drill a new hole for the elbow. It'll just be a little further out, which is fine. Now I'll just slide this into it, keeping my mark at the top. Let's see if I can get spot on once again with my hole for the elbow. Oh yeah, Uncle Bryan for the win. And then just cleaning up the holes in the drywall, which I'll have to patch later. Attaching my 3/4 inch pipe from the elbow to the tankless water heater with threads loaded up with some Teflon tape and Megalock thread sealant before I put it in. That way there's no worries about a perfect connection. A little bit more tape and Megalock sealant before I attach a shutoff valve on the gas pipe. And of course I clean up my joints. Time to turn the gas back on and test my handiwork. Here there's gas. Spray all the connections just to ensure that there are no leaks. No there. No there. You're good. I gotta get down there. Okay, fun stuff. All right, so here's where I'm gonna mount the tankless water heater, the gas one. Now you've noticed I put some 2x4s on the wall. That's where the mounting plates are gonna go. But on the electric one, you notice I just used a piece of plywood on the wall, but I found out that doesn't leave me a whole lot of room behind the service valves here in case I got to get a wrench in there and tighten them down or anything. So by using the 2x4, it brings it out a little bit, gives me a little bit more space in there, so if you got to work on it. Plus, when I put the gas line in, I had to pull it back about 2 inches because, well, apparently I can't count to 2. So anyway, so I got a little bit of a gap back here that I wasn't expecting, but now with the 2x4s there, it gives me the space to put the bell clamps on there that'll hold this and secure my gas line. So once I got that hung up on here, so I put one screw in here for now. I'll hang a tankless water heater on there. That'll be so I can measure where I gotta drill my hole for my vent. Now on my water lines, what I'm gonna do, and I hate to do this because I got such a pretty setup here right now, but I'm just gonna cut these off and I'm gonna put some male adapters on there, and then I'm just gonna use the corrugated flex lines. And a lot of you are saying, well, you can't use that. Yeah, here we're allowed to use flex lines on water heaters. So it'll just make it a lot easier. So if I ever have to hook up the electric one again, it's just a matter of untwisting it from here and hooking them up to there. So let me go grab the water heater, hang it on here so I can do some measurements. Now I could elbow straight off of it like this, but I want the vent on the outside to be a little higher just so it's not like right at somebody's head level, like, you know, because I'm kind of tall. So what we'll do is we'll end up going up here. That'll just put the termination point outside a little higher. And go. My mic cut out here, but before I drill the hole for the vent, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill just a pilot hole all the way through to the outside, nice and level. That way I have something to gauge on each end. So I'm just going to take a drill and drill it through all the way through. And now I got my my 4 1/8 inch hole saw. I'm going to drill a hole through here, knock out that drywall, and there's some insulation in there. We're just going to push all that insulation out of the way. And then we're going to do the same thing on the outside. Now here I got my safety squints on. Now, this is another do as I say, not as I do. Always wear safety glasses. Now, this is a thimble that goes in. One side goes in from the outside, the other side goes in from the inside. Now, one's going to fit inside the other. The part that goes inside the other tube is on the inside of the wall. So you always want your gas flow to go into the next one, not on the outside of the next one to prevent leaks. So we're going to make sure that the smaller diameter one, which goes into the larger diameter one, is on the inside of the wall. So we're just going to place that up here for now so we can kind of gauge things. Now, I'm going to show you, see, this is how our walls here, this is how they build things here. 1/2 inch of stucco with styrofoam. That's it. There is nothing else here. There's no plywood or anything on the wall, just styrofoam and stucco. That's how they build the walls here. Now, on the back of the flange here, I'm going to put some high temp sealant, some fireblock sealant. That's going to hold it to the wall because you really can't screw into the stucco because, well, the stucco doesn't have really any support to it. So we're just going to put that on there, getting a nice good seal on there, and then I am going to throw some screws into it that'll just hold it in place while the sealant sets. Then I'm going to do the same on the inside. Now, I went and put some high temp sealant around the flange here and on the tube because the tube's going to fit into the other one, and this way that sealant will give us a nice good seal between them. And then I'm just going to go ahead and throw a few screws in there to hold this to the wall, but the sealant's doing all the holding. Hey look, my audio's back. We'll secure that with some screws and some more fire sealant. I just want to see how far it goes inside. So I was afraid that the hood from the outside was going to be too long and stick out in here, that I'd have to try to cut it off. But it doesn't. It stops about a 1/2 inch before, which is good. The only problem is the elbow that goes in here. Let me show you. The problem I have is the diameter of the elbow going in is the same as the vent hood inside there. So this needs to slide into it. I know I have my HVAC crimper tool, but this is pretty heavy duty stainless, so I'm not sure how well it's going to crimp. But we're going to give it a shot because we need to find some way to get that in there. So they should have put this end over here like that end, or the one in there actually should have been like that. So this would slip inside of it. So it is crimping. Thank God I got superhuman strength because it is really tight. But okay. All right, let's see if that'll go inside. All right, let's see. Now it does go inside, but it's a little tight, and I'm gripping it here, but I won't be able to grip this once it's inside the wall. So this will have to be by itself. I'll just have to be able to put this, and it has to slide in smoothly. So I just have to crimp it maybe a little bit more, and then it'll slide in easily. Drilled some holes through the hood flange and the thimble flange, threw some high temp sealant on the back, and attached the vent hood. Now we can do the isolation valves. So on the bottom here, this is our cold water inlet, our gas inlet, and our hot water outlet. And it's because it states so on the bottom here. So in case you're not sure, there's your labels. So we're going to start with our cold. Now when you put this on, it has a union on the top. It has a detachable adapter. So the adapter is going to go on your nipple on the bottom of the water heater, like this. And then this will thread onto that adapter. And when you attach it, make sure the service port is facing straight out from the water heater, and your handle will be on the side. That's your orientation. There's a little Blue Monster thread tape. And then I like the belt and suspenders approach, so I'm going to use some Mega Lock pipe sealant on top of my Teflon tape. You don't need a lot, just give the threads a nice little coating. Make sure it's not inside your fitting. Then take your adapter, put it on there. Now once it starts to get snugged down, you want to put another wrench on the fitting coming out of the tank, just so it doesn't get damaged. Now when you put your service valve on, the union has a rubber washer in there, so you don't need any thread sealant or tape on here. Remember your orientation, your service port facing straight out. Now when you put the hot one on, you're going to do the same thing, except you have the TMP port on the side, so we need to attach our TMP on there. We'll do that first before we attach the valve. When you take these out, sometimes a little water will come out. That's because they're tested to make sure that they're okay. So a little water is not an issue. It's perfectly normal. Once again, orientation, service port up, your TMP off to the side, and your TMP should be facing straight down. Now I usually get these snugged up keep the valve about a quarter off, and then my last quarter turn, I just let it turn with tightening it down. And that should get it just about right. Just like that. Now we're ready to hang it. I'm not going to plug it in yet, just going to get the cord out of the way. When you secure the unit to the wall, don't just depend on the one screw on the top, the one screw on the bottom, in the middle. You got a nice wide mounting flange with a lot of holes in it. Utilize those. So besides these center screws, put one on each side, so you should have 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. Now you can put on the pipe. I put some high temp fire sealant around here, since that's just going to slide in there. It'll help give it a good seal. And then this. Now it comes with clamps, but there's no way a clamp is going to move that at all. So unless you put some relief cuts in this, that's not going to move. But I think these clamps, or if you use some other type of venting instead of these tubes, because in here there is a rubber seal in here, kind of like you would see in a press fitting. And what that does is it seals up around here. So if you put that on there and you wiggle it, it goes down on there and you can feel it. Same here. That is in there, and it's got, like, where this ring is, there's a rubber seal in there and it seals it. So now all I gotta do is just push this in, make sure it's all the way on there. Put that in there. Come on, get up here where I can see it. Ta-da. So it went in that, maybe a good inch. What I'll probably do is put some of that sealer around here just as a precaution, but clean it up a little bit. So that is in there. So now on each of the service valves, attached a dielectric nipple. Now you can put whatever you want on there depending on what kind of water lines you have coming in. Now if you have, if you have press like I did on this one, so you put a male adapter going to press. This is a 3/4 FIP. You just need a 3/4 MIP, which is male thread, that'll go into it. And then the other side, whatever type of fitting you need for the lines that you're using. If it's sweat for copper, if it's press for copper, if it's glue for CPVC, or in my case, it's just threaded for corrugated lines. Then over here, we put on a sediment trap on our gas line. So all a sediment trap is, you have a T, we have a nipple here to join it to our gas valve, we have what's called a drip leg down here with a cap on it, and then we have our gas fitting here. That's so if any sediment is in the gas, it comes down here, it hits down here, then the gas comes back out and goes out, but any sediment is heavier than the gas and it'll stay down here in the drip leg, and that will prevent any of the sediment from getting into your gas line to your appliance. Before transferring the water over, I have to shut the power down to the electric unit at the service panel, shut down the water to the house, relieve the pressure at one of the faucets, and then shut the valves off at the electric tankless. My Milwaukee close quarter pipe cutters severs the water lines with ease. Then I get a ream and deburr the cut ends and press on some male adapters with my rigid press tool. Got to put this on, so thread tape and thread sealant on there, okay, but that does not go on this end. This is a flare. It takes no tape, no thread sealant. But up here, where it's pipe thread, then you do. And I should have done this when I was doing the isolation valves. It would have been a lot easier. I'm trying to get up in here now. I can hook up the gas line to here. So no thread tape, no sealant, nothing like that on a flare fitting, okay? Now we can hook up the flex lines. Always make sure the washer's in there before you hook it up. No pipe thread, pipe dope, or Teflon tape or anything on these. Got a washer in there. That's what does the sealing. Uh-oh, another Uncle Bryan boo-boo. I'm going to notice it here in a moment, but did you catch it? Drop a comment below if you saw my mistake. Yes. This is a flare fitting, so you don't need any Teflon tape or pipe dope. In the way of the camera, sorry. So now the lines are all hooked up, your gas, your water. The water is, oh, we have an issue here. This is my outgoing hot line, this is my incoming cold. So this should be coming to here. I got the lines reversed. So, won't work that way. Incoming cold to our cold, outgoing hot to our hot. So now we got it right. Got our gas line hooked up. Turn our gas on. We'll turn the water on to the house. Let's turn on our water. Incoming, outgoing. Once you have your waters on and your gas on, then you can plug it in. Don't plug it in prior to that. And make sure you don't leave the plug sitting in water. Alright, I'll plug it in. Alright. Hear the fan going. We're going to bump this up to 120. There you go. This is your on-off, so if you hit that, it'll shut it off. This is your up and down for your temperature. This little shower head here shows that there is something operating. That shows your fan's on, and there is a flame showing that the flame is on, so it's actually working. Well, that's all there is to it. The biggest part is probably going to be upsizing your gas line. Everything else is rather simple, especially if you'll be mounting it where your old tank type water heater is located. Then you should have your water lines already there. Now, just make sure to connect them up to the right ports on your tankless water heater and not pull an Uncle Bryan boo-boo. Now, in 6 months, I'll do a follow-up review on this Gasland tankless gas water heater and give you my opinion on how it's been functioning. Then I'll do another after 1 year where I'll go over my utility bills to see if I saved anything by going tankless. But if you're thinking about going with an electric tankless water heater instead of gas, I have a couple videos I'll throw up here shortly on installing a Thermomate whole house electric tankless water heater and my review after using it for 18 months. I'll put all the links below to the videos and materials used because, well, I'm a little link happy today. And if you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a tap on that thumbs up like button and subscribing to my channel. I'd also like to give out a huge thank you to all of you that have already subscribed. Now, I had a goal to reach 15,000 subscribers by the end of this year, 2025, and I reached that at the beginning of November, 2 months ahead of my goal. So thank you all for supporting my channel. I now have a huge goal to hit by the end of next year, 2026, 45,000 subscribers. Hey, I had a 300% increase this last year, so why can't it happen again this next year? And to help in that endeavor, I'm going to be undertaking my biggest project yet, remodeling my house inside and out. Now, I have plans for the inside encompassing a water wall, a candle wall, moving walls, a tricked out closet, a safe room. That's right, I said safe room. And incredible bathrooms and kitchen. And that's just the inside. The backyard is going to have a pool house, car wash station, fire and water features, and the front yard and the house face, they're not going to be overlooked either. I even have plans for the garage and attic area. I think an elevator might be involved in there someplace. So if you want to see a total moron, that would be me, undertake all this by myself, subscribe now so you get notified when that series begins. Now, I'm going to rent some big equipment such as excavators and skid steers, and I have absolutely no idea how to use them. So, heavy equipment and fire features? By this guy? What could go wrong? I'm sure there's going to be plenty of issues. Because there's something I say every day. Nothing is ever easy. Bye now.